A lot of us immigrated to the United States several years back, perhaps a decade ago or more than a decade ago. Most of us came here as a graduate students, and at some point of time, we had to make decisions about our personal finances.
You are listening to Two Cents Together, where I engage in curious conversations about varied personal finance topics with my friend. We both are first generation Indian immigrants who came to the US in early 2000s for our graduate studies. I am Amol, a certified financial planner and the founder of Perceptive Wealth Advisors.
And I'm your co host, Devendra. I'm a mechanical engineer with over 15 years of experience in engineering R&D. I often enjoy discussions about personal finance with Amol. We hope that our conversations will be insightful for you too. Let's begin. Welcome, everybody. A lot of us immigrated to the United States several years back, perhaps a decade ago or more than a decade ago. Most of us came here as a graduate students, and at some point of time, we had to make decisions about our personal finances, where to invest our money, which savings accounts to choose or checking accounts to choose, or should I start investing in the stock market? What options do I have? Once you start earning a regular stream of income, then should I invest in a 401k or Roth IRAs and all such sort of decisions? And as we start exploring all the options, we are bombarded with all this information from YouTube videos, a lot of books about finance, and more importantly, a lot of suggestions from our family and friends. And myself and Amol, we had gone through a similar journey a couple of decades ago. And we thought that this would be a good opportunity for us to share our journey and how our financial perspectives changed or evolved over the last couple of decades. So we wanted to explore that with you, and that's one of the reasons why we started this podcast. So let's begin understanding our backgrounds and how our personal financial thinking evolved over the years. So Amol, why don't you start sharing about your background with us?
Hi Devendra, and hi everybody. I'm very glad to share this journey with all of you. So to begin with, I grew up in Mumbai, in India, in mid 80s to mid 90s.
Hmm.
That was the growing period. And it is a typical middle class family giving a lot of importance to good quality education. So I went to do my engineering in production engineering, which is equivalent to industrial engineering in the US.
Mhm.
And while doing that, I realized that it involves a lot of manufacturing aspect of that industry, which I was not really enjoying. And I wanted to learn more about machine design and design aspect of mechanical engineering. So that prompted me to apply for MS in the US for mechanical engineering. And I came to the US in 2003 to complete that. And over the years, when I was doing my job, there was a financial crisis happening in 2008, 2009. I started developing interest in economics and finance. So I decided to get a full-time MBA because I wanted to change my career path. So I opted for full-time MBA rather than part-time MBA. And I completed that between 2010 and 2012. And after that, my career completely changed towards finance.
Mhm.
And slowly, I have completed my CFA and CFP, so that is Chartered Financial Analyst and Certified Financial Planner certifications over the years, and have been doing my current business for last 4 5 years. So I'm currently an independent financial advisor
Mhm.
and founder of Perceptive Wealth Advisors. That's the brief history of my career transitions.
So, correct me if I'm missing something. So, you have an engineering background with production engineering, then a master's in sort of a design engineering,
Yeah.
then an MBA in finance, and then you are a certified financial planner, certified financial advisor.
Yes. Yes.
And there might be a few more degrees I might have been missing. These are the lists of your degrees, but tell
Yeah.
us about how your views about finance or money in general evolved growing up in Mumbai.
Yeah, you are right. So they sound like a lot of degrees.
Mhm.
Production engineering, mechanical engineering, they are very related.
Yeah.
I just took that another degree because I realized that my interest is evolving somewhere else than manufacturing. Same thing happened with finance. When I realized that my interest is moving towards finance, I decided to take MBA in finance.
Mhm.
And since then it is, even though there are different certifications, it's the same field. So I think beyond 2010, I don't think I have changed any career paths. It's still the same. But your question is right, that what triggered that interest initially.
Mhm.
And if I reflect on it, I think I remember that back in the 90s, there were economic reforms going on in India where we grew up. So around 91, 92, that process started, and the effects of it started showing up from 96, 97 onwards.
Mhm.
So I was seeing a lot of economic growth and investment returns people were realizing in that process. The first hand experience I can remember about that is my father was a textile engineer. He worked in that industry for about 20, 25 years before he took a voluntary retirement. And I, I believe the retirement was in 1992, I believe. I think that
Okay.
he was about 46, 47 years of age at that time.
That was very risky from today's perspective, I
Yeah,
guess.
definitely in that those times for sure.
Yeah.
Because he was whatever I remember is he was very interested in reading economic times, any financial journals,
Mhm.
and invest his money and all that. He never had any formal education in finance. So all his thoughts were involved around investments and he was getting good returns out of it. He started investing once he told me in 1982 and he was able to retire by 91 or 92.
Okay.
I was in 6th grade, my sister was in 10th grade. So I believe that it was a very risky decision.
Yeah.
I had no idea about that at that time. I was just happy that he will be at home every time. Yeah. But that was the uh, earliest memory I have, that if you manage your investments or personal finances in a disciplined way,
Mhm.
it is possible to retire early.
Mhm.
And now that I'm talking about it, I just it just triggered that fire movement, those
Mhm.
words in my mind. Those are the words nowadays. There are a lot of social media chatter around it also. Everybody wants to retire early,
Yeah.
basically. So if those who don't know, fire means financially independent, retire early.
Mhm.
So I believe my dad is the first example that I saw about that.
Yeah.
And he didn't know about it. I didn't know about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the trigger point. And I believe all this was done without any planning.
Mhm.
So I think it was the sheer luck that nothing financially bad happened to our
Mhm.
family. And the life were simpler at that time
Yeah, for sure.
than today. So it was possible. In today's era, I think if you take retirement decision consciously with good planning, it is still
Mhm.
doable. But yes, that's is very important in anybody's life. So
Yeah.
that was the earliest memory that I have. That
Yeah.
probably sowed the seeds of financial curiosity in me, that how that can be achieved, or what you need to do, or what one needs to understand so that he can organize his financial life better.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
so interesting. I
yeah,
guess everybody from amongst us would have some memory of share market or investing in shares from
yeah,
one of our previous generations, whether it's good or bad. I mean, there
yeah,
might be a lot of bad stories about, hey, never enter the shares market, or it's like lottery, so you're hardly going to win. And there might be some good stories as well. Hey, you're going to get returns of 50%, 60% within 5 years or whatnot. So yeah, I think there is a lot of mixed messaging that is still going on in the market, despite a lot of information available
yeah,
and data available readily. So that's good and fine. I think a lot of us can relate to your childhood, not necessarily your father's risk taking ability, but your childhood memories. However, it appears that your financial education or career in finance mostly occurred after you came to the US. So how
yeah.
did you continue your interest in finance, or what triggered that interest once you landed in the US 20 years ago?
Yeah, that is true. Like I said before, I realized that I am not interested in manufacturing anymore. So when I was applying, I was doing my GRE and applying for masters in US. I was pretty conscious that I want to get into mechanical engineering with design major
Hmm.
rather than industrial engineering with manufacturing major. So I wanted
Hmm.
to change that career path, and I did that. So that financial curiosity that triggered in my mind in 90s, that was dormant. It was
Hmm.
not in the on the forefront. I was not realizing that I want to go to that direction. So like every engineering student does from India, they go for masters in US. So I did the same thing. I graduated, and around my graduation time, interesting thing happened, and you are a part of it if you remember,
Okay.
because the rekindling of my finance interest has a lot to do with the discussions that we used to have.
Hmm.
So I will delve into it, but probably our audience doesn't know that. So I will ask you, what is your background, and when you come to the US, then we will discuss my things also in the US.
Yeah, I think like most of the engineers, I mean, I landed here with an intention of pursuing masters in mechanical engineering. Not a lot of mechanical engineers who came here, but still, nevertheless, I was an engineer, and my background with finance was hardly anything. However, as the luck would have it, I took my first flight in my life from Mumbai to New York in 2005. I don't know whether I had some extra money in my pocket or whether I just had nothing to do at the airport, and I
Hmm.
just went to the bookstore
Yeah.
and bought a book which I
Yeah.
thought seems interesting or has an interesting title, which was Rich Dad and Poor Dad.
Right.
So it's been 20 years, and I'm still treasuring that memory very much.
But
So I started reading that.
just a second, Devendra. So before we get into that,
Yeah.
can you just tell the audience what your educational background is in India and here, and then you can go back to the story of your first flight to the
Yes, yes,
US.
definitely. So I'm a
Yeah.
mechanical engineer. I did my BE from Pune, University of
Yeah.
Pune, and did my master's and PhD in Tennessee Tech University in mechanical engineering. And since then, I've been employed in HVAC industry. And currently, I work at Bosch, Home Comfort Group in Oklahoma City here. It is connected to what I was just about to say is,
Yeah.
so after I started reading that book, it's like there is some different perspective opened up. Like, okay, there could be different ways we look at finance, or there are other ways of earning money besides just being employed or having a full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
And it is within reach of middle class people as well.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest obstacle in that is your mindset or paradigm that is hardly changed. I honestly have not changed that. I don't have the appetite of starting my own business the way you have, Amol.
Mm-hmm.
However, it triggered different thoughts of, how can we optimize what we have basically? How does money work? What is inflation? What is
Mm-hmm.
interest rate? What is debt? Is debt necessarily a bad thing? Is real estate always the best investment? So all of these questions started coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And after having multiple, discussions with friends, including yourself,
Yeah.
after reading multiple books, all of these thoughts sort of got clear and clear in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And there is now certain way I think about finance for sure. However, I did not have much opinion about it 20 years back, and so that triggered it. And previous to that, I still have a lot of friends working as artists and in media. So I was associated with arts, field of arts, even though I'm an engineer. I have a lot of friends who are actively involved in the technical aspect of media and entertainment. Some of them are writers, directors, actors as well. And my younger brother, he's a great artist. He's a harmonium player and
Mm-hmm.
supports. He's an artist who plays harmonium for classical music in Indian concerts. So there is that background, and my father and I, we always thought about, artists should not have to worry about financial stability. If that aspect for artists is taken care, then there would be no limit to their talent and their creativity.
Mm-hmm.
So that had always perhaps been a subconscious thought, which triggered me to think about what can we do, what can I do to optimize resources that artists may have, some of my close friends might have. And so that resulted into occasionally supporting some of the work that my friends did and that sort of things. But I think you and I at that point were
Yeah.
contemplating, creating something, a small entity which can support some great artists in the future.
Yeah.
And it was literally I would say like a just a brainstorming session on
Yes. Yes. I remember that.
back
And
of a paper towel, literally.
yeah, and that's what I meant when I said that my rekindling of finance
Okay.
interest in US, the major responsibility is those discussions. Basically,
Okay.
that's what drove it. So if I
Mhm.
remember correctly, we wanted to. I mean, you have a great sense of Indian music. So I remember that I learned how to listen to music from you actually,
Mhm.
because we used to listen to it and talk about it for hours at
Yeah.
nights.
Yeah.
I remember even some friends, they used to go to their lab for research at night, and we are awake and we are talking, and
Yeah.
they used to return back in the morning and we are still talking. We are not sleeping. We are just listening to music and talking
Yeah.
about it.
Sure.
So that those were fun days.
Yes.
But because of that, because of your keen interest in art and your desire to do something for it, and my appreciation for art or somebody who is passionate about it, I think that bonded us really well.
Mhm.
And we started thinking of creating a entertainment company where we can produce quality dramas or quality music programs or something. You will handle the art aspect of it. That's
Mhm.
what we thought at that time, because you had a good network or good amount of friends in that circle, and I was somebody who only appreciate an art. I'm not an artist, so I just thought that I will take over the finance aspect of
Mhm.
it. And why I thought that? Because I think I understand finance little better, just because my father used to invest and he was able to retire early.
Mhm.
That was a very childish assumption. That's what I feel now, but that's what it is. And based on that, we started brainstorming. And if I remember correctly, you were just first semester student at that time.
Mhm.
I was starting my internship, so I was starting earning some money. So we even created an Excel sheet
Mhm.
where I created a table uh, to record the contributions to a bank account. I mean, we thought we would open a bank account, interest
Mhm.
paying bank account. We will put even $10 if that is affordable to you. You put in $10, I put in $10. Let's start accumulating, and in 2 to 3 years we will see what we can do with it.
Mhm.
That's what our initial thought was. But as that thought progressed, I realized that I know nothing about finance.
Mhm.
Just one night, I was just thinking, okay, we will accumulate maybe $500, $1,000, $3,000 in 2 3 years period. Is that really sufficient? I mean, if we
Mhm.
want to hire somebody, some assistants in India to produce these programs or
Mhm.
sponsor these programs, we need to pay them.
Yeah.
So how do we pay them? So let's say their salary is X amount. So do we always have to have that X amount in bank?
Mhm.
Or should we invest some money in bank in India which produces that much interest which is
Mhm.
sufficient to pay those salaries? And then I realized we are just struggling in that thought when we want to hire just one person or two-person.
Mhm.
How does big conglomerates do that? There are so
Mhm.
many employees, thousands of employees all over the world. They are paying their regular salaries every month in India or every 2 weeks in US. Where does that money come from? That
Mhm.
cash flow. So that's where I realized that finance is a lot deeper and it's interesting thing to learn.
Mhm.
So that rekindled that interest to understand more how an organization is managed, how the financial things are managed. In I mean, doesn't matter what size organization is. It can be a single person, a family, a company, or a nation. Doesn't
Correct.
matter. So sound economic policy and financial organization is the key thing
Mhm.
to be able to do what you want to do. That was the realization at that point. And if you remember, around similar time, that financial crisis happened of
Mhm.
2008 2009.
Yeah.
So they called it crisis of confidence, meaning the entire system or entire society was losing faith in the US financial
Mhm.
system or the credit system. And I was not understanding at all what exactly that means.
Mhm.
So I used to read a lot in Wall Street Journal or CNBC and all that. So there was a lot of reading and uh, I mean, absorbing the financial information during that time, and that triggered that finance interest again,
Mhm.
which prompted me to go for my MBA.
Okay.
And while I was doing my MBA in Rice University, I had a chance to participate in a student-run investment fund.
Okay.
So it is like 1 year out of those 2 years of MBA, you get to be a part of that fund and you manage everything.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, maybe some other time we can get into detail how that is done, but that was definitely a contributing factor to
Mhm.
my growth and understanding in finance.
Okay.
Yeah,
And if I remember correctly, then you continued your career in finance, but in particular, were you always interested in becoming a financial advisor, or I mean, what motivated you to become a financial advisor per se
yeah,
for families
yeah.
mostly?
Not initially. So I graduated with my MBA back in 2012. By that time, I knew that I really enjoy finance and I want to
Mhm.
work in finance. So my initial thoughts were always go for a job somewhere in a mutual fund company or some asset management firm, something like that. But I always used to enjoy talking about finance or personal finance with my friends. And probably my passion about that was showing up in those
Mhm.
conversations. So one of my good friend, he suggested, why don't I start my own consulting business
Mhm.
or where I advise my clients as well as manage their assets? And I just laughed at him. I said, who is going to trust me? I've not done it. So that was the initial point.
Mhm.
But probably it stayed in my mind. This is the incidents in 2012. So after that, I was working in a decision analysis field. Maybe we can
Mhm.
get into that a little bit later. But I was working in Chevron in a business analysis, financial analysis role. And I got to do those projects where I used to develop financial models for corporate projects just
Okay.
to see if it is profitable, if it is commercially viable or not.
Okay.
And while doing that, because I was sure I want to be in finance, I was pursuing my CFA. I
Mhm.
completed that by 2017. There are generally three levels of exams that you have to clear, and the exam occurs only once a year.
Mhm.
So it takes 3 to 4 years to complete that. So I did that, and that is a study of finance and economics in a more conceptual way. So that is good if you want to work in a mutual fund or a hedge fund or something like
Mhm.
that, for sure. But around that time, I started realizing that I can really add value to people when I advise them about some personal finance aspects.
Mhm.
They also value that, and it is possible to get into this business. That confidence was grown at that time,
Mhm.
from 2012 to 2017.
Okay.
And to do that, you need to understand a lot more about personal finance also,
Mm.
not just investments and economics conceptually.
Correct.
So
Correct.
for that, I undertook the study of CFP, Certified
Mhm.
Financial Planner.
Mhm.
So I did that in 2019, and I started my firm in 2020. So that's how that transition occurred slowly.
Mhm.
Initially, I didn't think that I could be a financial advisor
Mhm.
because it's hard for anybody to trust some stranger. But that confidence has grown over time.
Yeah. I think the fact that you are still doing that is a
Yeah.
reflection of there is a lot of trust built between you and your clients, I believe.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
and I
for sure.
believe you were always, even without becoming like a financial planner or advisor, you were always interested in well-being of your friends and families, and wanted to optimize their finances. So
Yes.
that genuine interest and passion will eventually, or would have eventually, reflected into your conversations with your clients. So
Yeah.
that is certainly very interesting, and then
Yeah.
very, I would say, uh, I've seen very few people who have navigated so many fields within last 20
Yeah.
years or so.
No, if I mean, if you realize you don't like something, you have to find some other job.
Yes,
Otherwise, it's hard to live.
yes, that's
Yeah.
true. But not everybody has that risk taking ability to do that,
Yeah. But
even though there might
good
be
point.
interest.
You mentioned that I really enjoy contributing to people's financial life. That is the key reason why I become a financial advisor. I mean,
Mhm.
by the time I graduated and did my CFA and CFP and all that, I had enough knowledge about finance and understanding. I could have gone for any job anywhere.
Mhm.
But I realized that especially immigrants like us, first generation immigrants from India,
Mhm.
with no finance background, they're generally very obsessed with finding some get rich quick investment strategy, or just they're chasing high returns year after
Mhm.
year. That's what they want to do. And yes, investment management is an important part of personal finance, but it goes much beyond that. That's what
Mhm.
I realized over the years through my education as well as my experiences in talking with many
Mhm.
prospects and clients so far. So that gives me more satisfaction to convince my client, or guide them on a path where they can relax a bit about their investments
Mhm.
and focus more on their other goals. They may be short term goals like I mean, annual travel or purchasing a car or a house, mid term goals of kids education, and long term
Mhm.
goals of retirement, or maybe something, start a business or something like that.
Mhm.
So when you have all these different aspects of your life in your mind,
Mhm.
they need to be planned. You can't just rely on, I'm going to buy Nvidia, I'm going to buy Tesla, and I will earn 15%, 20%, 30% returns.
Mhm.
I have met some people who like think that, okay, if they find good investments, they will triple their money in 3 years.
Mhm.
And that is fascinating to me that they think that way. I mean, it is possible sometimes, but you cannot guarantee that.
Correct.
And just by chasing those kind of dreams, you are just ignoring all other aspects that can actually give you joy in your life. So
So if I
when
can translate that
Yeah.
into some summaries. So basically, financial management is not about chasing a certain number after
Yeah.
20 years or after 2 years or whatever. It is a holistic approach of how to make financial decisions which are good for yourself and for your family, not just from, I mean, numbers point of view, but health, long term well being, and enjoying the life in general.
Correct, correct. So understanding finance and thinking more deeper about it is never about numbers.
Hmm.
Numbers are easy actually. I mean, if somebody teaches you how to calculate rates of return, or
Hmm.
how to build financial models or do stock analysis mathematically, if you have a decent mathematical brain, you can do it. That is not the that is not the point.
Hmm.
The point goes much beyond that. I mean, whatever you are doing financially, you need to understand why you are doing that. What is your why in your life, basically?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that is called planning first advising. I mean, financial planning has to be a focus, and it's not just me. There are, I mean, I'm glad to say that there are many independent advisors present today
Mhm.
with very similar or same philosophy,
Mhm.
that investments are obviously included in our services, but that's not the focus.
Okay.
The focus is planning, financial planning.
Mhm.
And as the podcast progresses, we will get into different topics about that, but that's the gist of it, basically.
Yes, yes, definitely. And we have a long list of topics and a lot of suggestions from friends as well, as far
Yeah.
as what are the interesting topics that they would like to hear us speak about, including bank accounts, investments, prioritizing your investments, sending money abroad or not, and that sort of stuff, or retiring here versus going back to
Hmm.
India, and all such topics. Eventually, we will hit one by one. But I'd like to just summarize what this podcast is about and what it is not about.
Yeah.
So basically, it is exploring conversation. It is exploring topics about personal finance through friendly conversations between just both of us, and a lot of that is motivated by discussions and questions that we get from our friends and the experiences that we individually have had over last decades. But it is not any specific advice about any individual. It is not giving you tips about where to invest,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah.
Would you like to add more to that before
No,
we
you're
conclude?
perfectly said. Actually, that's the purpose of creating this podcast. Because like I said, I feel that many people only tend to focus only on investments and the returns that they are getting,
Hmm.
without really understanding how to calculate those returns, or to which asset they can compare those returns,
Hmm.
and why they should do it. I mean, they don't have that sufficient understanding of it, but they are still going after returns.
Hmm.
So I want to break that thought process,
Hmm.
especially for first generation immigrants from India like us, because we are from that background and we understand, we can relate to that background well. And we have gone through several discussions, as you said, over the years.
Hmm.
And just by doing those discussions, it prompted us to think deeper just on our discussions.
Yeah,
And that changed our perspective also.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's what I'm hoping. Based on similar discussions, if our audience listens to it, maybe it will help them rethink their opinions about different topics. It's not I mean, I'm not here to change anybody's opinions. That's not my
Hmm.
goal. It's just that, just have curious conversations with you, because that's what we are having for many years.
Yeah,
And I know that it helps in expanding our perspective. And if we can do that, that's really good. Yeah,
cool.
that's
Yeah,
that's that's
definitely.
that's the goal of it. And like you said, some of the friends suggested topics and all. And if our audience wants to suggest any topics, they can definitely write in comments, and we will consider those. But again, I have to say that this is not a specific advice, because every household is different.
Hmm.
So whatever we are saying on this podcast, don't take it as a advice to you specifically. You
Hmm.
should always ask your own financial professional or advisor if you have. And if you want to talk to me, my website is www.perceptivewealth.com, and we can take it from there.
That's a great platform. I think we'll continue this conversation in future podcast episodes, and we'll talk to you next time.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you for listening, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Two Cents Together. If today's episode was helpful, subscribe or follow us on your preferred podcast app or on YouTube. Leave a quick review or comment so more people can discover the show. Perceptive Wealth Advisors provides comprehensive financial planning for first generation Indian immigrants and mid career professionals. To learn more, visit us at www.perceptivewealth.com using the link in the show notes or description. See you in the next episode.